In a modest neighborhood known for its tailors and fabric vendors, Ngozi Okorie stood at the threshold of her new shop, hands trembling with excitement and nervousness. She had just completed her training in fashion design, a dream she had nurtured since childhood. From stitching scraps together as a little girl to mastering the sewing machine under the watchful eyes of her mentor in Abuja, Ngozi had poured every ounce of passion into learning how to sew. She studied patterns, fabrics, and colors until her fingers could dance over the machine without hesitation. Now back home in Lagos, she was ready to open her own fashion house. Her journey wasn't easy alone. It was her auntie, Joy Okoro, who believed in her dreams first, a retired seamstress who once owned a boutique in Surulere. Auntie Joy had seen the spark in Ngozi when she was still in high school. When Ngozi told her about her plans to start her own business, Auntie Joy didn't hesitate. "I will help you set up," she said one afternoon, eyes sparkling with pride. "You've got talent, child. Let's make sure it shines." And so she did. Auntie Joy helped Ngozi find a small but cozy shop tucked between a hair salon and a fruit vendor on the near Ogunshiwa Street. It wasn't big, but it was perfect. Whitewashed walls, large windows that let in natural lights, and enough space for a sewing corner, display racks, and a fitting area. From her savings, Auntie Joy bought Ngozi a brand new sewing machines, a serger, and an embroidery machine. She stocked the shelves with bolts of Ankara, George, lace, and satins in every corner imaginable. She even gifted Ngozi sets of mannequin to display her creations. But not just any mannequin, they were 4 in number. One tall, elegant female mannequin, 2 small child-sized mannequins, and a tall male mannequin. Ngozi named him Kofi after a character in a story she loved as a child. She named the rest of the mannequins, each based from a storyline she loved reading when she was a child. On the day of the grand opening, the shop was bustling with life. Auntie Joy had decorated the entrance with balloons and streamers. Friends, families, and neighbors came to celebrate. Ngozi wore a stunning outfit she made herself, a peacock blue peplum top paired with a black pencil skirt. Her hair braided into neat cornrows adorned with tiny gold beads. She smiled wide, hugging everyone who came through the door. Local musicians played soft Afrobeat tones, while guests sipped on chilled zobo drink and ate chin-chin. Children ran around playing tags, and elders admired the neatly arranged fabrics and clothes displayed on the racks and mannequins. When it came time for the ribbon cutting ceremony, Ngozi stood proudly beside her auntie, scissors in hand. "This is just the beginning," she said into the microphone. Her voice steady despite the fluttering in her chest. "Thank you all for being here. This is Ngozi's thread, where dreams are stitched into fabrics." With a snip, the ribbon fell and cheers erupted. In the days that followed, Ngozi settled into her new routine. She would wake up early, walk to her shop, unlock the door, and begin cutting, pinning, and sewing. At first, customers were few, but word spread quickly. Her designs were unique, bold prints, elegant cuts, and attention to details that spoke of both modern flair and traditional Nigerian elegance. Soon, women from nearby neighborhoods began coming in, asking for custom-dressed head wraps and bubas. She worked tirelessly, sometimes late into the night, her hands ached, her body hot. But she never complained. Each stitches brought her close to her dreams. Then came the morning that confused her. She would go to bed exhausted, her work only halfway done. But by morning, everything was finished, better than she could have done it herself. Seams perfectly aligned, threads hidden, embellishments added with precision. At first, she thought maybe Auntie Joy had visited during the night, or perhaps a neighbor had taken pity on her long hours and offered quick help. But no one admitted to it. She checked the locks, still secured. No sign of forced entry. Still, the mystery continued. Every morning, her clothes were finished, sometimes her scissors were cleaned, her table was dusted, and other times her trays pool were neatly organized. She took it as a blessing. "Whoever is helping me," she whispered one evening before falling asleep. "Thank you. You are making my dreams come true." Outside, the wind rustled the curtains gently like a soft reply. The days turned into weeks and weeks into months. Ngozi's thread was thriving. Words of her talent had spread beyond her neighborhood. Clients came from far areas like Surulere, Victoria Island, and even as far as Ikeja. Her designs were featured on local fashion blogs, and she started receiving orders for weddings, anniversaries, and even high-profile events. Despite her growing success, one mystery lingered in the back of Ngozi's mind like a soft hum she couldn't quite ignore. One rainy afternoon, Ngozi sat under the awning of her shop, sipping a coffee of ginger tea and watching droplets race down the window pane. She was waiting for her best friend Adaeze, who had promised to stop by after work. Adaeze was everything Ngozi wasn't: bold, outspoken, and skeptical of anything that couldn't be explained by logic or science. They had been friends since university, and though they often disagreed, their bond was unbreakable. When Adaeze arrived, soaked from the rain but smiling, Ngozi decided it was time to tell her what had been happening. "I don't know how to explain it," Ngozi said, leaning forward. "But every morning my clothes are done. I leave things half finished at night, and by morning they are perfect." Adaeze raised an eyebrow. "You mean you finished them before bed and forgot?" "No," Ngozi insisted. "I go to sleep with half-stitched seams and tangled thread. When I wake up, everything is done, better than I could do it myself." Adaeze frowned, setting her tea aside. "So someone is coming into your shop at night and finishing your work? Did you hire anyone?" "No one," Ngozi replied. "I've checked the logs, no sign of breaking, and no one's admitted to it." Adaeze leaned back in her chair, eyes narrowing. "That sounds strange." "It feels strange," Ngozi admitted, "but not scary. It feels loving." Adaeze stared at her for a long moment before standing up. "We need to find out who or what is helping you," she said decisively. "Let's install cameras." A few days later, Ngozi returned to her shop after closing, accompanied by Adaeze and a technician who helped install two small cameras, one facing the main area where she sold and another near the mannequins. They set up the system to record all night and left the shop locked tight. The next morning, they rushed back to check the footage. The video played. For hours, nothing happened. The camera captured only shadows and moonlight flickering through the windows. The mannequin stood still. The sewing machine didn't move. No sound, no movement. Then dawn broke. And there it was again. Her clothes perfectly sewn. Her scissors clean and laid neatly beside her thread spool. Even the fabric scraps were organized. Adaeze stared at the screen in disbelief. "This doesn't make sense. We watched the whole thing. There was no one who..." Ngozi sat quietly, watching the footage again and again. Her heart thudded with confusion. Maybe oh," she whispered. "Maybe it's not a person oh." Adaeze looked at her like she has gone mad. "What else could it be?" Ngozi didn't answer. She looked towards the mannequin and felt some presence around her. She shook her head. I don't know." As the days passed, more people began to notice the strange happening at Ngozi's threads. Some customer whispers about spirits, others claim the shop was cursed, a few refused to enter. The rumors grow louder, even Ufon Ngozi's boyfriend made his own opinion clear. "This place is weird though," he muttered one evening, arms crossed. "You should close it and start afresh somewhere else. If not, maybe this your shop will lock down. People will stop patronizing you." He didn't understand. He never even stayed late enough to see how the shop felt alive at night, full of silence. Still, Ngozi listened to the whispers. She didn't want fears to chase away her dreams, so she made a decision. She packed up everything from the shop, the fabrics, the sewing machines, the mannequins, and left. She moved it all back to her home. It was smaller, cozier, but it would be enough. She decided to sell her designs online instead. Customers could order via WhatsApp and she would deliver or ship when ready. She didn't expect the mystery to follow her home. The very next morning, Ngozi woke up to find her sewing table already prepared. A dress she had only begun stitching was pinned to the fabric, ready for cutting. Her kitchen smelled of jollof rice and fried plantains. On the stove sat a pot of warm soup, a bowl of freshly washed fruits. Her clothes were folded neatly in her closet. The house was spotless. She walked barefoot into the living room, still dazed, and stopped short. There, on the couch, lay a beautifully arranged outfit, her latest design, fully sewn and draped like art. She touched the fabric, still warm. Tears welled in her eyes. Whoever or whatever was helping her hadn't abandoned her. They had followed her home. The days turned into weeks and Ngozi began to adjust to her new life, sewing from home, selling online, and waking up each morning to find her work completed with a level of care and precision that she could never match. She had stopped questioning it. She simply accepted it as part of her life now, like the rising sun or the rhythm of her sewing machine. But the mystery didn't stop there. One night, Ngozi woke up to a strange feeling, warmth, softness, and the gentle rise and fall of breath beside her. At first, she thought she was dreaming. She opened her eyes slowly, expecting to see the ceiling fan spinning lazily above her bed. But instead, she felt something different, something real. Her back was pressed against something warm. An arm, strong yet gentle, was draped over her waist. She could feel the steady beat of a heart behind her, the rhythmic breathing of someone sleeping peacefully. Panic surged through her for a moment. She wasn't alone. But then, just as quickly, calm washed over her. Not fear, not alarm, but comfort. Whomever was holding her meant her no harm. Ngozi didn't move. She lay still, listening to the quiet hum of Lagos outside, the distant sound of dogs barking, the occasional cars passing by. Inside, all was silent, except the soft inhale and exhale of the person beside her. She wanted to turn around. She wanted to see who it was. But before she could, the warmth vanished. The arms disappeared. The heartbeat faded. She was alone again. She sat up quickly, heart pounding. The sheets were still warm where the body had been. Her room was dimly lit by moonlight streaming through the window. No one was there. She got out of bed, checked every corner of the house. Nothing, no sign of anyone entering or leaving. Yet, the memory of that embrace lingered in her chest like lingering melody, gentle, protective, loving. After that night, Ngozi couldn't shake the feeling that something or someone was watching over her. She started researching more deeply than ever before. She visited libraries, spoke to elders in her community, and even traveled to Uyo to meet with a traditional healer known for interpreting dreams and spiritual occurrences. The healer, an elderly woman named Mama Adebayo, listened intently as Ngozi described what had been happening in her home and the unfinished clothes becoming perfect overnight, the meals prepared without explanation. Mama Adebayo nodded slowly, then reached for a bundle of herbs on a nearby shelf. You are being watched, she said softly, but not by spirits you should fear. Ngozi leaned forward, heart pounding. What do you mean? There are beings in this world, the old woman continued, that are neither living nor dead. They walk between worlds, unseen but ever present. Some serve out of love, others out of duties, and some because they are waiting for what Ngozi asks, to be loved. Ngozi breath caught. Mama Adebayo studied her carefully. You have brought something into your home, she said. Something that is bound to this world by a thread of magic. It watches you, it serves you, and it waits for your heart to open. Ngozi returned home that evening with more question than answer. What is this? What does that mama even mean? I don't even understand what is going on in my life. Determined to uncover the truth, Ngozi decided to try something drastic. She left her phone recording beside her table one night, pretending to go to sleep normally. She made sure the camera were facing the foot of her bed, capturing everything. She fell asleep with her heart racing, hoping, praying that the footage will finally give her answers. She didn't remember falling asleep, but she did remember waking up. And when she played the video the next morning, her hands trembled. For most of the night, nothing happened, just darkness, the occasional rustling of wind, the faint buzz of street lights outside. Then, at exactly 2:17 a.m., something changed. The air shimmered. A figure began to take shape near the foot of the bed. At first, it was barely visible, a shadow, a blur. Then slowly, details emerged. It was Kofi, the male mannequin. He stood motionless for a moment, his wooden face expressionless. Then he stepped forward. Not like a ghost, no floating. He walked gracefully, silently, as if he belonged there. He moved to the side of the bed, looked down at Ngozi, and gently tucked the blankets around her shoulders. Then, with a tiredness that made tears well in her eyes, he sat beside her and pulled her into his arms. She watched her shift slightly in her sleep, snuggling closer to him. Kofi held her all night. By morning, he was gone, back to wood and silence. Later that day, Ngozi sat up on her couch, staring at the screen, replaying the footage over and over again, trying to make sense of what just happened. Tears streamed down her face, not sadness, but realization. All this time she had believed she was alone, that Ufon, her boyfriend, was the only man in her life. But he had never touched her with such care. He had never cooked for her, never cleaned for her, never even stayed by her side in the middle of the night. He had never shown her love and care that she wanted. Ufon came over that evening as usual, dressed in his finest, ready to charm her into forgetting how often he disappointed her. I heard you've been acting weird lately, he said, sitting across from her. Are you okay? She looked at him, really looked at him. For the first time in a long while, she said, No, I'm not okay. He frowned. What is wrong with you now again? She turned the phone toward him. He watched the footage in stunned silence. When it ended, he stood up abruptly. This is witchcraft. You have been bewitched, he muttered. Or madness. I don't want to be any part of it. Both you, your shop and your mannequins, all of you are possessed. Please, I'm out of here. He stormed out, slamming the door behind him. Ngozi didn't chase after him. Instead, she sat quietly, heart full of something she hadn't expected. Understanding, love. She looked at Kofi, standing silently in the corner of the room, his wooden face unchanged, but she knew better now. There was a soul inside that curved body, a prince trapped in silence, a man who had waited for so long for someone to see him. and she had found him. The night after Ngozi discovered the truth, she couldn't sleep. She sat on the floor in her living room surrounded by books, old scrolls and notes she had scrambled while researching African folklores. Her laptop glowed softly beside her, displaying pages filled with stories of curses, spirits and enchanted beings, many from her own Yoruba and Igbo heritage. She was searching for answers. Who or what was Kofi? And why did he serve her so silently, so lovingly? She typed keywords into search engines: mannequin curse, wooden prince, enchanted men in African legend. Most results were about Western myths or modern horror films, but then something caught her eyes. The tale of Prince Kofi of Ebu, the man turned to wood. Her heart pounded as she clicked it open. The article described an ancient tale passed down through generations among the Ebu people, a lesser-known ethnic group believed to have once ruled a powerful kingdom in what is now southern Nigeria. Long ago, the Ebu Kingdom was known for its warmth, wisdom and beauty. Its people lived in harmony under the rule of King Osai, a just and noble ruler. His son, Prince Kofi, was beloved by all, a young man of unmatched kindness, integrity, and charm. But tragedy struck when Queen Naladi, Kofi's mother, passed away unexpectedly. Grief-stricken, King Osai sought comfort in another woman, Lady Adisa, a beautiful but cunning widow who claims to love him. She became queen quickly, but her heart was not full of love, it was full of fears. She feared that when Kofi came of age, he would take the throne and leave her powerless. She knew how deeply the people adored him and how much more they respected his wisdom than hers. So out of jealousy and ambition, Lady Adisa turned to dark magic. She summoned a wicked priestess known only as Mama Dede, a woman known to live in the forest where no birds sang and no sun shone. In exchange for gold and power, Mama Dede cast a terrible spell on Prince Kofi. With a single touch, Kofi was transformed. His flesh turned to smooth ebony wood, his voice silenced, his body frozen in time. He could hear everything, feel everything, but he could not move, speak, or cry out loud. Lady Adisa had him taken from the palace under cover of darkness and sold to a merchant who traded in rare artifacts. The merchant brought him to Lagos, where he eventually ended up in a dusty warehouse, forgotten like so many other relics. And there he remained, trapped in silence for over 4 decades. The curse could only be broken by true love, not the kind born from desire or convenience, but the kind that comes from seeing someone's soul and choosing them without hesitation. And now, after decades of waiting, someone had loved him, Ngozi. That night, Ngozi had a dream. She found herself standing in a lush green forest, the air thick with the scent of white flowers and rain-soaked earth. Birds chirped overhead, and the winds whispered secrets through the trees. Before her stood a tall man dressed in royal robes of deep blue and gold. His skin was rich brown, his eyes sharp yet kind. He looked exactly like Kofi, but alive, breathing, real. "You've seen me," he said gently. "Now you must believe." "I do believe," she whispered. "I don't know how or why, but I believe you are real." He smiled, "Then help me remember who I am." Suddenly, images flashed before her eyes, memories not her own. She saw a grand palace made of red clay and carved wood. She saw children playing at Kofi's feet as he reads them stories. She saw him walking beside his father as they reviewed plans for a new market. Then the memory shifted. She saw Lady Adisa whispering in the shadows, her eyes glowing with hatred. She saw the priestess chanting over a bubbling cauldron, smoke rising around her like serpents, and then Kofi screaming silently as his body hardened into wood. The vision faded. She woke up gasping, tears streaming down her face. Kofi stood in the corner, unchanged, but this time she didn't see a mannequin. She saw him. Later that evening, Ngozi sat beside Kofi, her hand resting lightly on his wooden arm. "I know your story," she whispered. "I know what happened to you." There was no response. Still, she continued. "I know you've been waiting for someone to love you, to see you for who you really are." She took a deep breath. "Well, I do. I love you, Kofi." As soon as the word left her lips, the room changed. The light flickered. A warm breeze blew through the window, though the sky outside was still. Kofi's head tilted slightly, just a little movement, but enough for Ngozi to notice. She gasped, his finger twitched, then slowly, almost implicitly, his lips moved. No sound came out, but she understood. "Thank you." From that night onward, subtle changes began. Kofi started to move more freely. He wouldn't appear suddenly anymore. He would walk slowly, stiffly, like someone waking from a long sleep. He would rearrange the fabric rolls, clean the scissors. Sometimes he would sit beside her while she walked, watching with eyes that sparkled with emotion. At first, Ngozi was afraid. Then she realized something. This wasn't magic gone wrong. This was love bringing life back to a broken soul. She started speaking to him every day, telling him stories, sharing her dreams, even singing to him as she sewed. Each time she did, he moved a little more naturally. One night, as she finished sewing a wedding dress for a client, Kofi reached out and gently touched her shoulders. His hand was cold at first, then it warmed. Ngozi turned to look at him. His eyes met hers, and for the first time in decades, he spoke. His voice was low, rough from disuse. "Thank you," he said. Tears welled in Ngozi's eyes. "I'm going to break this curse," she promised. "I'll bring you fully back." He nodded, a soft smile forming on his lips. "I know." Spring had just arrived in Lagos, bringing with it a warm breeze and blooming hibiscus for Ngozi. Life had become a beautiful blend of magic and reality. Kofi was changing, slowly but surely. He could now walk without stiffness, speak more clearly, and even laugh softly at her jokes. His presence felt less like a dream and more like destiny unfolding before her eyes. But Ngozi knew they couldn't stay in Lagos forever. To fully break the curse and restore Kofi's soul, they needed to return to where his story began, the lost kingdom of Ebu people. So one morning, she packed her clothes, a few outfits, and all the notes she had gathered about the Ebu Kingdom. She wrapped Kofi in a long flowing robe to hide his wooden features, and together they boarded a bus heading to Ebu Kingdom. The journey took days. They passed through towns filled with music and laughter, villages tucked into hillsides, the forest so thick that sunlight barely touched the ground. Along the way, Kofi grew stronger. With every mile they traveled, he remembered more. Fragments of his childhood, the scents of palace spices, the sounds of drum echoing through royal halls. The Ebu Kingdom no longer stood as it once was. Time had worn down its wall, and nature had claimed its throne. But nestled deep in the forest, hidden behind vines and moss, remained the ruins of the royal palace. As they stepped through the broken archway, Ngozi felt a chill run down her spine. This was where Kofi had lived, and where he had been betrayed. Inside, they found remnants of his past, carved wooden thrones, faded tapestry depicting royal ceremonies, and a mirror cracked beyond repair, reflecting only shadows. Kofi walked slowly, touching each wall as if reacquainting himself with a forgotten memory. "This is where I last saw my father," he whispered. Ngozi took his hand. "Well, we'll make things right." Just then, a voice echoed from the hallway. "Who dares enter this sacred place?" A group of elders emerged from the shadows, dressed in traditional robes, their faces lined with years of wisdom. One stepped forward, a woman with silver hair and sharp eyes. "I am Elder Amma," she said. "You stand in the land of our ancestors. Who are you?" Kofi stepped forward. "I am Prince Kofi," he said, his voice steady, "son of King Osia." There was silence, then gasps, then tears. The elders dropped to their knees. "It is truly you," Elder Amma whispered. "We thought you were lost." That night, a great gathering was held in the village square. Word spread quickly. The lost prince had returned. People came from miles away to see him. Children danced around him. Elders bowed in respect, and warriors beat drums in celebration. Elder Amma explained everything to Ngozi and Kofi. After Kofi disappeared, the kingdom fell into chaos. The king died, and Lady Adisa declared herself queen and ruled with fear and cruelty. Many fled the kingdom, scattering across Nigeria. Some believed Kofi was dead, others hoped he would one day return. "But we never stopped believing," Elder Amma said, "and now you have brought him back." Ngozi looked at Kofi, who was now standing tall, his posture regal, his spirit radiant. "And not just me," he said softly, "love brought me back." The next morning, the villagers led them to the heart of the forest, to a cave hidden beneath the roots of an ancient tree. Inside, bound by vines and guided by spirits, lay Lady Adisa. She was old now, her beauty faded, her eyes hollow with regrets. She rasped when she saw Kofi. "You are alive!" He stepped forward, calm yet firm. "I am." She tried to rise, but the vines held her tight. "I did what I had to do," she whispered. "I wanted to be queen." Kofi looked at her for a long moment. "You could have become queen," he said, "but you choose betrayal instead of love." With the help of the elders and the spirits of the forest, Lady Adisa was taken away, not to be punished with death, but to live in exile, stripped of power and forced to reflect on her choices. The curse lifted with her departure. By evening, Kofi was whole. His skin was warmth, his eyes sparkled with life, and when he turned to Ngozi, he smiled like a man reborn. "I'm free," he whispered. She smiled back, "And I am yours." Weeks later, the entire kingdom celebrated the union of two hearts and two worlds. The wedding was held under a sky full of stars, with lanterns hanging from trees and drums beating a rhythm of joy. Ngozi wore a gown she designed herself, an elegant creation of white lace and gold embroidery, shaped like wings to symbolize rebirth and freedom. Kofi wore royal robes stitched with golden threads, his crown restored. They exchanged vows beneath the moonlight, surrounded by families, friends, and the spirit of their ancestors. Elder Amma blessed their union. "You have not only restored our prince," she said, "you have restored hope." As the newlywed danced beneath the stars, the village sang songs of love and legacy. Under his rule, the kingdom flourished once more. Village rebuilt, traditions revived, and peace restored. Ngozi opened a new fashion house within the palace ground, blending modern designs with traditional Ebu styles. Her brand, Ngozi's Thread, became known across Africa, not just for its beauty, but for the magic woven into every stitch. And every time she sewed, Kofi stand beside her, guiding her hands, whispering words of encouragement, reminding her that love had made them both whole. Because sometimes the greatest story begins with a single thread, and hers was stitched with love. Or perhaps the beginning of a lifetime of stories. The end. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please consider liking the video, subscribing and clicking the notification bell so you never miss an update. Your support helps us continue creating content we are passionate about, and we are always excited to hear what you think. Drop your thoughts in the comment section below. We love reading your feedbacks and getting to know our awesome audience. Thanks again for being part of our journey. Let's keep growing together.